What up? What up? What up, everyone? Man, oh man, does it feel great to be back on the YouTube? How's it going, everyone? It's not. It feels weird because usually, when us three are are talking, it's a podcast, but it's not this time. We're live on YouTube for the Celtics Talk Weekly Free Agency Special live. So, 30 minutes in right now. Right, there hasn't been much Celtics signings. There's still rumors. We got a lot of talk about on this show. First off, Kelly Olynyk signs a pretty big contract with the Detroit Pistons. What was it? 3 year, $37 million deal that Kelly Olynyk signed. Where does that leave the Boston Celtics? Obviously, Celtics were one of the landing spots of Olynyk. Where does that leave us? What direction do you think Brad starts taking now, guys?
I don't know, man. I feel like they need to get a point guard, and they need to get it pretty soon because we just saw that Lonzo's off the board, and he's, probably the best point guard available in this free agency class. So they got to get that Isaiah Thomas contract worked out.
Yeah, IT.
Get IT back.
That you're gonna be hearing that a lot. But I mean, all from everything aside about Isaiah Thomas, like, what impact is he really going to have? Like, that's my biggest thing is, like, obviously I love Isaiah Thomas. I'd love to have him back, but like, clearly the past 2 years for him have been very, very streaky, been a very, big struggle. He just dropped 65 in the Drew League. So he's been putting up buckets, but what do you guys think an Isaiah Thomas signing could benefit, and how could it benefit the Boston Celtics?
I think experience, especially within the organization. Him and Brad Stevens have a tremendous relationship. Him and Al Horford had a huge, great relationship. Went to the Eastern Conference Finals that year. I think Isaiah Thomas has something to prove. He's been injured the past few years. He finally got the surgery. He's claiming he's better. He's claiming he's ready. He drops a 37-point game and then what was it, Rob? Like a 62-point game, something like that. 65-point game. So, and then he got the opportunity last year with the Pelicans. For some reason, they missed the play. They were going to miss the playoffs, and they didn't re-sign him to that another 10-day. But I think he has something to prove, and I think he's someone who will accept a role player at this point in his career. When he was with us, if you remember, he was so dead set on being a starter. He wasn't kind of ready to accept I could be a role player guy. I think he's ready, and I think he's going to put all that aside. And I don't know if it's by the end of the show tonight, but hopefully Isaiah Thomas is a Celtic once again.
We got another point guard off the board. TJ McConnell to the Indiana Pacers. 4 years, $35 million.
Another point guard off the board. Cameron Payne agrees to re-sign with the Phoenix Suns on a 3-year, $19 million contract. So we got some guards off the board here. You already got Lonzo. You got Cam Payne. You got who was the other one? I don't know why. Just TJ McConnell. So there's some good news though. None of them have, other than Lonzo, none of them have been rumored to come to Boston. As Celtics fans, we're right now targeting Reggie Jackson, Patty Mills. We're also looking, obviously, Isaiah Thomas. So we're definitely still got a lot to look at. Obviously, only 34 minutes into free agency. The offseason really just began. But along with free agency, we got some other news that came out today, guys. It seems like Marcus Smart's time with Boston is over.
It's one of those things where one side of you says, yes, it's time to move on. And then there's another side of you where it's like, no, Marcus. Mixed emotions, fellas. Ian, what do you think? I see you sighing up there, right up there on the top of the screen.
It's tough, man. See, Marcus has been that guy. He's been Boston for so long. And, I can't even think of him not being on the Celtics. I don't even know, what he would look like. Let's say, he gets traded to Washington. I don't even think I could picture Marcus Smart in a Wizard uniform.
But if the deal was right like that, would you do it? And I don't want to branch.
I would. Yeah,
no,
Yeah.
I would because Marcus is the Celtics' best asset they have really to trade right
Outside,
now.
yeah.
Every team is looking for a guy like Marcus Smart.
Mhm.
So,
well, and we
as
can't
much as it
forget.
pains
We
me.
can't forget. We got to sign him next year. We got to pay him next season. And from what it sounds like, he's looking for a contract just south of $100 million, somewhere in the ballpark of really a Lonzo Ball contract, a 4-year, 80 to $90 million contract. Would I pay Marcus Smart that kind of money? Probably not. I wouldn't. I love Smart. I think he's stepped up multiple times, many times in his career when Kyrie went down, when Kemba's been down. So, I wouldn't want to trade him, but I think at some point we kind of, as Celtics fan, we knew there's going to be his time's going to be running up, and I think we're approaching that. And I mean, it also sounds like Brad wasn't happy with his play this season. It said his unpredictable shot selection, his unpredictable play, was frustrating. So, I know it was just a rumor, but that's something you got to look at.
What is
Trust
this?
me, it was just as frustrating to watch.
Oh, 100%. What is this Josh Richardson deal mean towards a potential Marcus Smart deal? Because they're similar players, both defensive minded. Their offense is there. Offense is there.
Yeah.
I wonder if that Josh Richardson deal has something to do with a Marcus Smart deal.
I think it does. I think
it does for sure.
I think it's Brad Stevens' kind of way of saying, of replacing Smart. And I don't know what direction he's going to try to trade for Smart. Earlier in free agency, we heard about a potential CJ McCollum for Marcus Smart swap. I don't know if that's still on the table. Obviously, Portland is trying to please Dame. That might be a way to please Dame. We've also have the potential of a Evan Fournier sign and trade. So, I think Josh Richardson, Jay Rich, was kind of a bring in, an asset that he brought in as a way to replace Smart.
I got some updates from Adam Himmelsback. Some season intel I'm hearing, free agency roles. A Fournier return is still very unlikely. Marcus Smart is not going anywhere. The C's could be priced out on Jeff Green. Otto Porter and Patty Mills are still possible. And the C's remain focused on maintaining flexibility. IT return not in cards.
So where did you see that?
This is via Adam Himmelsback, if I'm saying that right. If I'm butchering it,
is that a reliable source?
Yes, very, very, very reliable source.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, Celtics fans.
Oh my Zeus, that just defeated the. I don't know. Can we believe? Can we believe this though? It's free agency, right? I mean, if we could believe that Isaiah's coming back, we should equally believe Isaiah's not coming back.
Well,
if that makes any sense.
That's a little strange.
I don't think we can't believe everything we read because they've been talking about all of these different guys coming the past day or so. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm saying I have a feeling they could still possibly get a guy
because
like Jeff Green.
everything that's been reported so far this offseason kind of just contradicted that tweet, right? I mean, I think we should get on a sign and trade for Evan Fournier. I think Danny Ainge did that cost the Celtics was he let guys walk for for nothing, right? So I think a sign and trade, whether it's a first round pick, whether it's a just an eighth man that you can bring off the bench, you got to get something. You can't let them walk for free. But if Smart's here to stay, then you got to think, what direction is Brad really going it with, right? I got the sun in my eyes. I'm gonna have to scoot over a little bit. What direction is Brad going for?
So I think Brad Stevens is really trying to go for a defensive-minded kind of what the team used to be, before we drafted Jason Tatum. It was back in 2016, 2017, where we were a defensive-first team. And, they had Isaiah Thomas. He was kind of their main source of offense. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like they're trying to go for a grit and grind kind of throwback team right now. I think that's what Brad's trying to do. And also, Duncan Robinson just resigned for a 5-year contract with the Heat.
So let me ask you guys a question, right? If say that, so we said what? Who are the two possibilities?
Otto Porter.
Otto
and
Porter,
Patty Mills, where
okay, so
we've been
that-
set on him for a while.
Yeah. So I think that's Emi trying to get one of his guys over into a green uniform. So I wouldn't be too surprised if that that signing happens. So let's say a potential Boston Celtics starting 5, right? Let's think this through. At point guard, who are you starting? You starting? Say we sign Patty. Starting Patty or starting Marcus?
I don't know. That's a good question. Wow.
Because this is my problem with, right? If you don't sign update, mind you, we're notifying you guys with everything, not just Boston Celtics. Free agent Torrey Craig has agreed to a 2-year, $10 million deal with the Indiana Pacers. But back to what I was saying.
Dang, Trae Young just signed a 5-year, $170 million supermax extension with the Hawks. And he could make it up to $201 million.
It's okay. I didn't want him anyway.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys think that with the constructed roster we have right now, right? Say we add Patty Mills to the swing of things, are we a team that can get out of the second round?
Yes, because we have Grant Williams.
We have Rob's favorite player, Grant Williams. He's the deciding factor.
All right, sorry, Justin had to leave us. I don't know where he went. I think he got kicked or something. I don't know where he went. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
Dude, don't hide the love for Grant Williams. But in all seriousness, I'm wondering, Rob, before you ask that question, I want to ask, what about the free agents on our team, right? Where today came out where they're not guaranteeing the contracts, the expiring contracts on Taco Fall, Tremont Waters, the two-way players. So those two obviously aren't coming back. But what about Luke Cornett or Shemi Ojale? I'm really interested to see. We haven't heard anything on Shemi Ojale, which is surprising because he's been with the team for the past 3 or 4 years. So we kind of and Evan Fournier even, we kind of gotta ask ourselves what happens with those guys before we figure out what's going on with the roster. And I don't know if it's looking too promising if we're sitting here, almost an hour into free agency and we still haven't heard anything on Luke Cornett or Shemi Ojale.
Here's my stand, right? Right now, Brad has got to put talent ahead of anything, right? Obviously talent that fits, right? But his last priorities should be Semi Ojale, should be Luke Cornett, should be, Tremont Waters. I love as Doug McDermott signs a 3-year, $42 million deal with the Spurs. I love
that's a good pickup for San Antonio.
That is a good pickup. I love, Semi. Personally, I really do like Semi Ojale, right? But Brad's got to focus on guys like Jeff Green, right? Like Patty Mills, like Otto Porter, right? So the thing is that say if we strike out on all those guys, I don't know what you guys think, but I call Fournier up and I say, here's your $19 million a year.
I mean, at that point, who else are we going to get?
Yeah, you're kind of desperate at that point.
Yeah, here it is. We can pay you, and then if worse comes to worse,
Fournier doesn't get another contract.
Yeah, sure, but we trade him.
He's pretty valuable on the market right now for a lot of teams. A lot of teams use a guy like Fournier.
Yeah, my thing right now is that, listen, we got to find pieces that fit together, right? Patty Mills is going to help us in a championship run, not win us a championship. Not saying he's going to, right? Yeah. He's not, obviously we signed Patty Mills. We're not going to be a contender all of a sudden, right? It might help, but he's going to make plays down the stretch. He's going to help us. he's going to contribute.
On both
Guys,
ends, too.
On both
Definitely.
ends, yes. In the playoffs, right? Guys like
Yeah.
Cornette, guys like Oshie, those are roster fillers, right? I
Yeah.
love them,
Yeah.
but they're roster fillers. And I'm reading the chat right now. Don't rule out a Reggie Jackson signing.
I love Reggie Jackson.
That's
to the
that's
Celtics.
actually
I love that.
it's funny you brought that up because that would be a huge signing for Boston. Obviously, in search of a point guard, like Ian said.
CP3 is back to Phoenix on a 4-year, $120 million deal.
He's actually, I think he's getting wrist surgery right now. I think he's in the middle of wrist surgery, or he got it. Yeah. What were we talking about? Reggie Jackson. That would be a stellar deal. Do you say Reggie Jackson happens and we still have Marcus Smart, we still have Peyton Pritchard? Who do you start? Do you start Reggie Jackson?
Reggie Jackson. Yeah.
Or would you
100%
start?
have to start. I think you have to start Reggie Jackson.
Yeah. And it is official, by the way, if you guys are just tuning in or you guys are just hearing on the free agent news, Kyle Lowry has signed with the Miami Heat. So that forms a big three between Lowry, Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler, and Duncan Robinson, who just had re-signed. And I think before we started this, Jimmy Butler signed an extension as well.
He did, yes.
The Heat are paying all their guys right now.
Yeah.
The Heat really want to keep this core together.
I think that a Doug McDermott signing, I mean, obviously he doesn't bring as much as DeMar DeRozan, but if you're potentially about to lose DeMar DeRozan, I feel like that's a pretty good pickup for the Spurs. I mean, they're obviously not going anywhere. They're not, I don't think they're going to be a contender in the Western Conference. Maybe they'll be fighting for a play-in spot, but I don't know. He give sharpshooter $90 million, Duncan Robinson, over 5 years.
That's nuts. I never expected the Celtics, even if they wanted to, they would pay that much.
That's an overpay. And
didn't Bertans get something similar to that though?
Yeah, like you got to be careful. You got to be careful with players like Bertans, like Duncan Robinson, right? Who are in their search for a first big contract. A lot of those guys, as soon as they get that first big contract, they're in cruise control from here on out, right? They have no, when you're working on a 2-year, $1 million deal, right? $2 million deal, right? You're not looking. You're looking to get paid, right? You're on your A game because you gotta get that bag. Once you get that bag, it's like you got to be careful paying shooters that much money.
Per Mark Murphy on Twitter, Marcus Smart is likely staying now that Lonzo Ball has signed a deal with Chicago. Any roster additions will be, quote, on the margins, end quote.
So that means he's going to re-sign a bunch of guys for the bench, I'm assuming. I'm assuming that means a bunch of veterans or, sadly, roster fillers like Semi Ojeleye. That's what I'm thinking.
This is a depleted Celtics Talk Weekly. After,
we were so excited to start this episode because we thought Isaiah Thomas was coming back.
We still can be. Like I said, reports can be false just as much as they are true. They're rumors. Free agents. But wow. And does this tell you we sit here, we're looking at the list of targets that's on the Celtics free agency: Jeff Green, Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley, Isaiah Thomas. We've kind of asked this in the podcast. I'm going to ask you guys again on this show. Are there moves that Brad Stevens didn't agree with, but didn't really have a say in with Danny Ainge? Because we see Al Horford back in Boston. We see now we're just seeing more and more talks about Isaiah returning, about Avery Bradley. Obviously, I know Kelly Olynyk just signed with the Pistons, but Kelly Olynyk, Jeff Green still up in the air. So you guys definitely think that Brad Stevens traded, or Danny Ainge traded away or didn't re-sign players that Brad maybe wanted to keep?
I totally think that. I think that's pretty clear because Danny Ainge traded away players all Celtics fans wanted to keep. And I think Brad Stevens had, connections and likings, towards guys like Avery Bradley. towards guys like, Kelly Olynyk, towards guys like specifically Isaiah Thomas. Now, I think Avery Bradley, he dropped off once he left Boston. If you look at, the way he played. So, getting a guy so I think Brad has a vision. I don't know what it is. If you guys follow the Celtics insiders, which I'm sure you guys do, they sent out a post that said, there's a trend right now to Boston's these guys' contracts, right? Richardson's on a 1-year deal. Smart's on a 1-year deal. Robert Williams is on a 1-year deal. Horford has an option next year. So right now, hold on. I don't know. I got to check my phone. I just read something that says Spencer Dinwiddie is going to meet with the Wizards and the Celtics.
I saw that earlier, yeah. They were talking about – I saw that Dinwiddie was meeting with the Wizards. I didn't see anything about him meeting with the Celtics, so.
What about Spencer Dinwiddie? Is he a point guard? What is he necessarily? I know there's no really it's like a positionless game nowadays. I mean,
he's a point guard. He's a point guard.
He's a point guard.
Okay. That would be interesting. I don't know. He clearly wants out of Brooklyn. I don't know who would want out of Brooklyn. Maybe because he went from being one of the guys before, obviously, the Big Three was formed to now, he's always injured. I don't know if he has something to prove again. I don't know if he's looking for more money than Brooklyn's offering because, Christ, I don't know how Brooklyn has that much money after signing all those players.
But I'm not seeing anything about him to Boston.
Yeah, I didn't see anything either.
Hopefully you're right, but I can probably say that that's fake. Right now, I think it's looking like the Celtics are going to be signing roster fillers. But, with that being said, I don't necessarily think that's an awful thing. I do think we desperately need to find a point guard. I do think Patty Mills would be nice. I don't rule out Isaiah Thomas. I think Reggie Jackson. Yeah. Reggie Jackson is still a possibility. I do think signing back Fournier now should be your number one priority.
Yeah.
I really do. I hate to say it, but if you can't make a move, I think your top 3 priorities right now is sign a point guard, sign Evan Fournier, and extend Robert Williams. That's a whole different conversation to have. But I don't know what you guys think, but that's what I want to talk about because something we're not talking about is Robert Williams, and I think the Boston Celtics should extend his contract tonight. And the reason why I say that
because his name is Rob, that's why they share the same name.
Because it's not great.
But he shares the last name with Grant Williams, though.
But take him off. Take him off. This is so biased. Take Ian off the camera. This is so biased.
My reasoning for that is because you lost my train of thought. Okay, my reasoning for that is because
get him out of here.
He's at his cheapest point, right? Robert Williams is at his cheapest point right now. Remember with Jaylen Brown, we re-signed him, extended him at the right time where we didn't pay him max money. We paid him 100, I believe 11 over 4. We could get this. I can guarantee. What does Chuck say? Guarantee. I can guarantee that Robert Williams this season is gonna have such a good year, right? A year
Who's
where
this? Rob
Will, not Grant.
Not
Grant. But I can guarantee you that he's gonna have a great year. So I think that should be a target of the Boston Celtics. I think something on the agenda is pay Robert Williams now, so you don't have to pay him a lot more money next year.
Yeah, that would be good.
He's just got to stay healthy. That's been his biggest problem throughout his 3-year career is his inability to stay healthy. It's so unfortunate. I mean, one injury after another. I mean, he had to sit out the playoffs other than obviously game 1 due to turf toe. I mean, that's so unfortunate. And I mean, I know he had a great game 1, one of the actually top performances of the season. But it's very frustrating to see Robert Williams go through these injury spells, and he misses a significant amount of time during those spells. So I think he's worth the money, don't get me wrong, but it's if he can stay healthy, I think that's what will really hold him back from having a big year. because he's
Yeah,
obviously
I agree.
proven he's going to be the starter, regardless how good Al Horford comes back or how good, if we bring back Luke Cornett or whatever the case may be. He's Robert Williams is still going to be the starting center.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And like, you think about like what tools players need to have. Like you need to have like a certain amount of athleticism, skill, talent. Something that gets overlooked is their ability. They need to actually be able to be on the court to showcase all of the talent that they have. So I agree with you. I feel like we need to be a little hesitant when it comes to extending Robert Williams because you need to factor in, let's say he misses 20, 30 games a year. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with that right after we don't have him for that long? So I feel like when it comes to re-signing Robert Williams, you need to find a cheap enough contract to where like it pays him for his talent, but at the same time factors in him not going to be being healthy for, half the season.
I just want to say, people need to stop trashing on Brad Stevens because the Celtics aren't making any moves at the moment. I mean, it's a process. Adam Taylor, a good friend of mine, works over at SB Nation, tweeted out this morning, everybody needs to be patient. Brad Stevens, his saying over the last 8 years has been hit singles, basically saying don't expect a home run every time. Don't go for the home runs. Go for singles. Get yourself on base. Get yourself going. I mean, Christ, obviously, like we said, Rob, you and I actually were on a call earlier this afternoon saying how the Celtics don't necessarily need a Bradley Beal or a Damian Lillard or Kawhi Leonard. What they need is to build an established, maybe veteran bench around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That's hence why I think they got this guy right here, Al Horford. I think that's a big reason as to why they made that move, to get some veteran experience into the locker room. I'm sure there were a lot younger guys out there on the market for Kemba Walker, but they chose Al Horford.
Yeah, so that's a great point. And my biggest thing right now with the Boston Celtics is, I got a couple points. First point is right. Obviously, if we can get a guy like Beal, a guy like Dame without giving up Jaylen Brown, I'd obviously do it. That makes us better. That puts us in as a final contender, a final favorite, right? But that's not going to happen. So right now, the past 3 years, the Celtics really haven't had an established, solid, together roster. Look at the Milwaukee Bucks, right? Their core group of guys. Obviously, Drew was new this year, but their core group had been with each other for probably 3-4 years now, right? Between Middleton, Giannis, Brook, guys like, I know they added PJ Tucker, but those type of guys, Connaughton, DiVincenzo, those guys have been there for 3-4 years. So right now, the Boston Celtics have the star power to win an NBA championship. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are that good. They're those guys, right? They've proven that. It's now time for Brad Stevens to build around them. And that's something Danny Ainge never did.
I think Brad Stevens is doing a hell of a job. And it's a lot of pressure, though. I don't think people understand. Brad Stevens walked into a kind of sort of a messy situation here in Boston, something that needed to be fixed. Obviously, coming off of that horrid, performance in the playoffs, you got to come in, find a new head coach. You got to come in. You got to deal with players, like you got to figure out who you can re-sign and who's worthy to be re-signed, right? Evan Fournier, that's a huge decision. Trading that whole Kemba Walker situation, that was a huge decision. Brad Stevens obviously loved Kemba. Kemba was a great guy to have in the locker room, and he was a great player when he was healthy. But again, you couldn't rely on him staying healthy. So that was a huge move that Brad Stevens really had to make. And I don't think people realize how much pressure is on Brad Stevens, and I'm not asking them to feel bad for Brad Stevens at all. It's his job. It's his job to go in there and get this tough stuff done. But I think Brad Stevens has done a fantastic job so far, and who cares if we haven't signed a free agent in the first hour?
Yeah.
Who's Go ahead, Ian.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to agree with Justin. For what Brad got left, Danny Ainge did not make it easy on Brad. at all.
No.
He just kind of just said, here's every problem a team could possibly have. Go fix it in your first year, and he didn't wait around either. He did it the Celtics weren't out of the playoffs for like a day or two, and they already traded Kemba Walker. So I think Brad is doing a great job for what he got left. And I mean, it sucks as a fan, but you do have to be a little patient when it comes to these things because,
I have an update from Brian Robb on Twitter. Main potential suitors for Evan Fournier in free agency right now beyond the Celtics are the New York Knicks, San Antonio Spurs, and New Orleans Pelicans. All teams that could be dealing with Evan Fournier.
He's looking for money. He's not looking for he's not looking for contenders. So right now, Brad Stevens has got to think, if you can't get your hands on any new pieces, it might be worth just biting the bullet and paying him the money.
Yeah, you're going to have to at this point because.
Notice the coincidence here of those three teams. All three teams where or at least two out of the three that DeMar DeRozan has been linked to. I mean, what if it's kind of like Fournier is like either a plan A for one situation or plan B for the other. If the Knicks don't get DeMar DeRozan, maybe Evan Fournier gets in there. If the Spurs don't re-sign DeMar DeRozan, Evan Fournier gets in there. It kind of adds up. Like you said, Rob, you kind of said it, but it doesn't look like he's looking for a contending team. He's just looking for who has the money. I think the Celtics could provide both for Evan Fournier. If they really wanted to, they could pay Evan Fournier that 17 to 20 million that he's looking for. And at the same time, the Celtics could be a serious contender next year.
Yeah, honestly, the more I think about it, what I've been doing, right, is I'm just thinking about lineups, right? What lineup? Because this season, it pains me to think and look back that there were games where Luke Cornett and rookie Pritchard and rookie Nesmith, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing Nesmith or Pritchard, right? But they were so young. And guys like Cornett and guys like Ogilvy and just guys like, I love Tremont Waters, Grant Williams, hell. I don't know where Ian went.
I don't know either. He probably left for the night.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
But no, I know what you're saying. I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
but so the fact
gone
that
shorter.
Those guys were in the lineup, right? Like these guys were getting minutes. That cannot happen. We have to fill up this rotation. And Fournier, I think, is the key to that. I'd say pay him that money.
And the big thing was last year, what did we notice? We were relying on, like you said, two rookies being Payne Pritchard, Aaron Nesmith, and we were relying on some, no offense to Luke Cornett, Shemi Ogilvy, but those guys just don't have what it takes, like a potential Patty Mills or an Evan Fournier or Reggie Jackson or even an Isaiah Thomas. Those just aren't those guys that are going to get it done for you. And the Celtics last year were relying on that. And what happened? It turned out to be a 36-36, 500 season. And we ended up in the play-in tournament, and we just so happened to get out behind a 50-point Jason Tatum performance. You know what I mean? And next year, that can't fly.
The Celtics need veteran depth. I've been saying that for a while. The Celtics need veteran depth around Tatum and around Brown. And I know, we harp back to 2018 all the time. They were rookies and we had rookie Tatum, rookie Brown, and rookie. You
also have to think of the mentality back then.
We also had veteran guys. We had Marcus Morris. We had Al Horford. Aaron Baines. We had even Shane Larkin to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
We had guys who have played in the NBA before and who are capable of actually, providing solid minutes for a team. And that's what the Celtics need. And, like you were saying, we really shouldn't be relying on guys like Luke Cornett or Semi Ojeleye or, a rookie Nesmith or Pritchard to fill out so many minutes.
And not to get so off topic with it, but that's why I think that this year's Summer League is so crucial for guys like Pritchard, Nesmith, Langford. Because guess what?
He actually plays more than 10 in a game.
These guys, especially if we go out and we get these veterans that are on the Celtics wish list, those guys are going to be fighting for rotational minutes. It's not going to be the same minutes as last year. We might not see Payton Pritchard playing the type of minutes that he played last year. Same thing with Aaron Nesmith. So I think that this summer league is going to be a huge opportunity for these young guys to show, especially, like I said, Langford, because Langford's been around for quite a while. I kind of think he's in that kind of Gershon Yabusele where we know. No, listen. I'm not saying skill set. I'm saying situation. Gershon Yabusele was with the Celtics for quite a while. I think 2 or 3 years, maybe 2 or 3 years. Yeah. But he was hurt a lot and he didn't get the same opportunity. Langford is hurt a lot. What is this going to be? His 3rd year, and we still don't know what Langford can really be because we haven't been able to see it. So, and I think that's the same thing with the Gershon Yabusele situation, where last year or the year before last year's summer league with him was it's all or nothing here. I got to prove something or else I'm out. I kind of think that's the same thing with Langford.
So I think Nesmith and Pritchard have real rotational minutes next season. I don't know about Langford, right? But when I'm thinking about like I said, I've been just thinking about the lineup, right? A lineup right? Who are your 3 core, right? Your big 3, we'll call it, right? Is Tatum, Brown, and I'm going to say Robert Williams. And people might call me crazy, but I really do think he has 13 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks potential next season.
If he's healthy.
If he's healthy, yeah. And I think he could be a real, piece to this team. With that being said, though, back to the rookies, you got to look at the bench. You guys got core guys like Smart. You got core guys like Horford, like Richardson.
Yeah.
Right? If you can say Fournier, then you got Fournier. And then I'm feeling really comfortable about the rotation spot that Nesmith and Pritchard are playing. Because, like I said, Nesmith showed flashes of wow, you could be a starter, right? Like he did. Same with Pritchard. They showed flashes of, wow, you guys could be real NBA
even in the
starters.
playoffs for Nesmith. Yeah. Pritchard kind of fell off, but Nesmith especially.
So my thing is we just got to keep a good core, right? See, just because core to fall back on, right? You know what I'm saying? Nesmith isn't playing well. Well, guess what? We got not Jason. It's going to happen all season. Josh Richardson, right? He's going to step in and he's going to be consistent. He's going to do good things for you. Pritchard's not working. Well, we got Patty Mills. Patty Mills he's going to do the trick. Yeah. And we didn't have that last season.
Or potentially Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, Pritchard's not playing well. Well, we're gonna have to fall back on Tremont Waters and hope Waters can do something.
Edwards, because Waters gone.
Yeah, Waters gone.
So that's what we have to do is we have to make sure we have key pieces where we can go, these young guys aren't stepping up. Well, guess what? We got these guys to step up.
I have an update. Just real quick, Ian. Sorry. Via Brian Robb. If you're questioning why no Celtics news in the first wave of signings, remember that the team does not have much spending power with taxpayer mid-level exceptions in free agency. Once the big fish finish landing deals, second-tier guys will start signing, a.k.a. guys Celtics can afford, just like all 3 of us have been saying this, role players, bench players, 6-man, 7-man, 8-man. Veterans.
We're not going for stars right now. We're not looking to pay big bucks right now.
Yep. All right. That makes a lot more sense, honestly. And I don't know why I never even really thought of that sooner. But yeah, that makes so much more sense because, you're not going to sign Avery Bradley right now. You're not going to sign those kind of guys right now. Anyway, what I was trying to say about earlier is, did that Tristan Thompson and Chris Dunn trade ever go through?
No, it didn't. It's still
Jeff Green just got off the board.
The Denver Nuggets, 2 years, $10 million.
What a pickup by Denver! What a pickup by Denver,
bro. The Celtics could have done that.
Dude, Jeff Green. I really wanted Jeff Green. By the way, before we kind of close up, final thoughts. I just want to shout out Aiden real quick, who has been just killing it behind the scenes.
Shout out to Aiden.
Shout out Aiden. Been pulling up the graphics here you've seen throughout the night. Killing it. I think a huge reason as to why the Instagram page is taken off because Aiden makes us look way more professional than we are.
Oh yeah,
we don't do
way
anything.
more professional.
We don't
than
do
we
anything.
Are. We really. I mean, we just send content ideas to him, and he just makes it. So
we bring Aiden on
appreciate
screen
it.
if he wants to. Should we bring up Aiden just to show everyone?
If he wants to, we ain't forcing it because he's a behind the scenes type of guy. But if he wants to, we're 100.
Yeah, he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. But
the graphics and just FYI too. I'm sure Rob's going to remind you guys before we leave again. Summer League starts less than a week from today. It starts Sunday. We'll have you covered.
I'm so hyped.
We'll have you covered here.
Shout out Aiden.
Shout out Aiden. There he is. Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, that's the guy that pulls all the strings.
But he kills it. He kills it. We're super, super grateful to have him on, especially during this time of year where everything's so hectic.
Yeah.
So we're super excited to have him on.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not seeing any more news. We're probably going to be wrapping up here. But with that being said, we have a podcast. That's what we are. We are a podcast, the Celtics Talk Weekly. It's us three, me, Ian, and Justin. It's kind of like this, but it's a little bit more organized. We don't really talk just Celtics. We kind of go up, branch off NBA. We've talked about, Luka. We've talked about, legends. The Olympics. So, the podcast, it's a great listen if you're, driving to work, if you're whatever you're doing, go check that out. We also have a website where we post articles weekly. We got a great group of writers that, have been writing for us. They've been doing their thing. Go follow us on Instagram. Of course, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel. This was a fun one. Like we said, we're only an hour into free agency. So don't count don't count us out just yet. There's going to be tons of moves we're going to be making. Other than
Hang on, guys. Before we go, I just want to say one thing.
He's going to say something about Grant Williams. He's going to say something about Grant Williams. But
No. Who is the guy before the day is done? Who is the guy the Celtics get? Before the day is done.
So tonight, I don't know if we make a move tonight, but I'm gonna say Patty Mills.
Patty Mills? Who we got, Justin? Who's being a Boston Celtic by the end of the night?
Realistically, Patty Mills, but I really see behind that little flick we got from Adam Himmelsbach. I think Isaiah Thomas has a chance at. I think right now is the best chance we've ever had at a potential Isaiah Thomas return. I really do.
I wouldn't count out. So Avery Bradley.
I'm gonna say. I was just about to say Avery Bradley.
Yeah.
I feel like we bring Avery Bradley back. I feel like
You know what I thought? What number would Avery Bradley be? I've been thinking about this.
Yeah,
genuinely.
11.
Well, that's Pritchard.
Is that open?
That's Pritchard.
Oh. That's Pritchard.
99.
Taco's gone now. Yeah, hell with him.
That'd be funny.
You know what number he can have? He can have number 12.
No, because Grant Williams still on the team, dude. No matter what.
Well, listen,
does Carson? My big question here, because there's a real potential we see Isaiah Thomas come back. Is Carson Edwards respectful enough to give up number 4 to Isaiah Thomas?
He better
without Isaiah even asking or thinking.
Or else he better.
Or else we're gonna have problems.
Who's gonna have problems?
Me and Carson Edwards.
You and Grant have your own thing here. Leave Carson alone.
I'm gonna have to put Grant to the side and deal with Carson Edwards if that's the case.
Oh jeez. Oh my gosh. All right. Make sure to follow our Instagram though, because
make sure sign us off, Rob.
Go follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, $10 million deal. Damn it. We could have afforded that $5 million a year over the next 2 years for Jeff Green. You're telling me we couldn't do that? Come on.
Mo Harkless went to Sacramento 2 years, $9 million. Anyway, Rob, you can You can
Yeah,
set
close
this
us
off.
out. Close us out
All
before
right.
we start talking about Grant.
Like we said, like I said, go follow us on Instagram. Go listen to our podcast. Go check out our website. Go subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm Rob. That is Ian, or that one that way.
You're embarrassing yourself. Just end the live stream.
That is Ian. That is Justin. Peace out, guys.